I've been banging on for roughly 20 minutes so far, so I'm going to wind up the episode with a couple of fun questions, and I'll continue this Q&A session on Thursday. The first fun question comes in from the same man at Samuel Dare, and his question is, what is your favourite club or pub on Mitchell Street in Darwin? Or were you an Archie's versus the Hub man in Palmerston? I actually grew up in Darwin, so in Palmerston in particular, and I spent quite a bit of time in Palmerston. And I would go to Kazali's Sports Bar. One of my mates was a really good pool player, played for the state team, represented nationally, I believe. And we would go to Kazali's and drink there, gamble, play pool, and have a lot of fun. As I don't even know how we got in. We were underage, but we went up to Kazali's and had a good time there. And then we'd sneak into Archie's as well, and we had a lot of fun there. So some of those stories probably not relevant for this podcast. Before I joined the army, I didn't really go out in town too much. If I did go out in town, I'd go out with the rugby boys. I played with the seniors when I was 16, 17, before I moved to Sydney. And I'd just sneak in with those boys. They knew a lot of the lads on the doors, and they would just get me in, and had a lot of fun there. Once I got posted back up to Darwin with the army, the first couple of years, Discovery was the place to be. That closed down, I think, a couple of years later. So we transitioned more towards the tap bar, Ducks Nuts, the deck. The Kavanagh was also a good place for Sunday sessions. Those last couple of years I was in Darwin, I think it was like 2009, 10, 11, 12. I left in 2013, but Monsoons was the place to be for us. They sponsored our rugby club, and our rugby club, Casuarina Cougars, went 3 years in a row undefeated, won the premiership all of those years, and I was the co-captain of that club. So every time we'd go to Monsoons, there'd be massive lineups there. And I would just walk straight to the front of the line and, tell them my name, tell them who I was, and, take a heap of people in with me as well. So had a lot of good fun nights out at Monsoons. Discovery opened up again in the last year or two that I was there, I believe. And I remember going out one night. This was back when I first got back to Darwin with the army. So this is a pretty funny story. The boys went out to Discovery on a Tuesday night, and it was a tits out Tuesday. So they'd have a competition where these girls would get up on stage, and, they'd wear these white shirts and they'd hose them down, and, you could see their boobs through the white shirts and all that type of stuff. And, it was a good time for everyone. And particularly when we'd come back from being out bush for a couple of weeks, we'd go out and get on the piss and have a good time. But I remember this one night we went to Tits Out Tuesday at Discovery, and these girls got up on stage, and one girl in particular took her top off, and everyone was like, "You!" cheering her on, and, the crowd went crazy. And then she took her pants off, and everyone was like, "You!" and went nuts. And then all of a sudden she started, finger banging herself, and we were just like, "Oh, that's probably a little bit too far." So we had a little bit of a laugh at that, and we're like, that chick's going to regret that tomorrow. But yeah, we had some pretty wild times in Darwin. The next question comes in from Keefe Akamboa on Instagram. His question is, what's harder, a tour with PAC Social to Asia or a tour to Afghanistan? They both present their problems, and they both require a particular mindset. So this time last year, I was in Vietnam playing in a rugby tournament with these guys, and I flew in on the Friday night, and my roommate didn't get back into the room till like 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And we were up at about 6:30 in the morning to go to the grounds and kick off the rugby tournament. I think it was a tens tournament. And we were sitting out the front of this hotel that we were staying at, and these boys started rolling in at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning from, wherever they'd been the night before. So it was pretty loose. We all jumped on the bus, headed to the grounds, and I think we got to the grounds at like 8:05 or something like that. And our first game was like 8:20. Everyone was fucked up. Everyone was hungover. And it was just, we didn't win a game that tournament. So anyway, we went out that night. There was an after party at the grounds that we were playing at. And the boys decided that we were all going to get dressed up. And I ended up wearing my PAC Budgie Smugglers. PAC stands for Pig Athletic Club. So I was wearing my PAC Budgie Smugglers with just like fishnet shorts over the top of them, and that was all. And that was a pretty wild night. We kicked on there and then headed out into town, and then I'm pretty sure like I didn't even play the next day because I was so hungover and I was sleeping throughout the day. So yeah, whenever I'm going on tour with those boys, it's always a really good time, but it's always really hard to get myself into the right mindset of being able to balance, switching on for rugby games and also, enjoying the fun, enjoying the social sides of the rugby. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the borders opening back up again and getting to, go out with those boys again and just hang out with a good bunch of lads that enjoy their footy, but also enjoy, getting on the piss and having a good time together afterwards. So that's it for today's session, guys. Tune in on Thursday for my next Q&A session. I'll be answering some serious questions and I'll also answer some fun questions. Peace.